All right, how you guys doing today? We about to hop into the review of Proverbs chapter 6. This is part number 4, I believe. The first things first, though, I just want to make sure y'all like that video. You know what to do already. Hit a little exit full screen, scroll just a little bit, like the video, and then full screen it back up. You feel me? All right, we left off, I believe, on verse 15, which means, no, verse 16. We're on verse 17 now. He that passeth by and meddleth with strife belonging not to him is like one that takes a dog by the ears. And I believe some of the other translations say takes a wild dog or takes a stray dog by the ears. Regardless of the fact, why are you taking a dog by the ear? Why are you yanking a dog by the ears? Right? And that's exactly how it is when you pass by and meddle with strife that belongs not to you, right? When it's somebody else's problems that you're meddling with, their strife, their problems, their issues, their confrontations that you're meddling with, it's just like you grabbed a dog by the ears, right? Yanking a dog's ears is another translation. A passing dog, right? A dog that's just passing by, none of his business, grabs the dog by the ear and is likely to be bitten, is what the AMP says, right? And the word meddles, he mentioned in the sermon, Pastor Paul did, that it means to excite oneself. So you excite yourself with somebody else's problems. And this is mainly talking about like, oh, you want to go gossip, or you just want to know the tea, as they say. Something along those lines, right? You want to fuel your own sense of who knows what, your own fleshly desires of knowing everybody else's business, probably so you can go talk about it elsewhere, so you can feel good. I guess you can excite yourself, right? That's all you're trying to do. And it's likened to grabbing a dog by the ears, because I don't know if you know this, but if you rub a dog's ears, they release a feel good hormone, right? So I'm gonna make a comparison that I don't think they intended, but everything by God is ordained. So it probably was at the time by God. He's like, I know that I made dogs that release feel good endorphins when their ears were rubbed. So I'll say that it's like taking a dog by the ears, right? Because on the surface, you may say, oh, touching a dog's ears in a soft way is good for them. Grabbing a dog's ears violently is bad for them. Same way that like somebody's problems, hearing about it softly, like somebody saying, hey, I'm dealing with X situation, I just need prayer, right? And they're not getting into too much detail. They're just saying, hey, I'm dealing with something, I'm feeling down. Could you pray for me? Rather than grabbing it by the ear saying, hey, I'm going through this divorce, my kids are living, and then you got a whole problem. Is like you took it by the ears because now you got the whole thing. And the problem with that comes when knowing that information comes to bite you in the back, because when you go and talk about it with somebody else, that person that you originally told is going to find out that other people know. It always works out that way. It always does. And when it does, they're going to come back to you. I told you that in confidence. Why are you running around telling everybody else my business? And Pastor Paul mentioned instances where he's had people come up to him and say, not to gossip, but, and then proceed to gossip kind of thing. And it can be covered with, I'm just telling you because I want you to pray for them. So that's why I'm telling you these things, right? But that's taking the dog by the ears. That's not rubbing their ears softly saying, hey, this person's going through something, pray for them. Or hey, this person's going through something, be a little nice to them, give them a compliment, something like that. You know what I'm saying? There's ways to go about it that aren't horrible, and like taking a dog by the ears, and where you might get bitten and put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because that bite can lead to other things, like metaphorically in the dog analogy, rabies. All right. And in a real life example, if that does come back to bite you and that person is mad at you, that can come back in the sense of this sin reaps some type of death, whether that be your relationship that is now severed, or whether that be they retaliate on you and take revenge, even though we know as Christians we're not supposed to take revenge. Revenge comes from the Lord. Right? That's enough yapping about this one verse. I'm pretty sure we'll go back to it with this next verse, but verse 18, a madman who casts firebrands, arrows, and death. Verse 19, so is the man that receives his neighbor and says, am I not in the sport? And this verse has been used to not justify, to rectify, quote unquote, channels like, if you guys know Gideon, also known as Gideon. I'm not sure which is the pronunciation, because with his, like, I think he's from Houston. His Houston accent, he says Jadon sometimes. I'm pretty sure it's Gideon. but a lot of people say Gideon, and that just like makes me a little bit mad because I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's not that one, but he lets it happen, so I don't really know. I think he's just fine with anybody as long as they're talking about him, and he goes by all three, so whatever, right? But when it came to him deleting all his content and everything and focusing more on God, it came more so from this type of verse right here. He actually quoted this verse exactly for why he stopped his pranks, because he's like, somebody who's casting firebrands, arrows, and death is like me saying I'm deceiving you and joking, right? And Pastor Paul made certain that he was like, I like to laugh, I like jokes and all that stuff, and I'm not saying you can't do it. What matters is the intention, right? And I'm sure we all know somebody who they say something and we look at them like, really? Or they say something and we question whether it's true or not, because when you deceive your neighbor so much, it becomes hard to tell when they're actually telling the truth, like the boy who cried wolf kind of story, right? Where it's like, well, you just said wolf 3 times and there was no wolf, so now you're saying it a 4th time. Am I supposed to believe you? Really? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You get fooled once, you can't get fooled again, right? But I tell people, right, the 3-strike rule is pretty good for general things, because, well, in baseball it's not really good because, you know, they can throw different kinds of pitches, right? But 3 times, right, you have good intentions on the first one. You trust somebody on the first time. Fool me once, shame on you for fooling me, right? You believe it, you get duped, you've been fooled once. The second time, you say, all right, maybe the first time there's a joke, you trust them again, get fooled again. That one's on you. Now you know better. The 3rd strike, you should not get out, because the 3rd time they do it, you shouldn't even let it happen the 3rd time. You did it once, they did it once, and you clocked it. You said, hey, all right, I got cool, right? You took that on the chin and you kept it pushing. Second time, I trusted you that you would make the right decision. You didn't. That's on me, and now it's no more. And there should be no 3rd strike. The point being your intentions with what you're doing, right? Jokes are fine. Some jokes, right? There's a verse in, is it Colossians, Ephesians? I think Ephesians, where it said no crude joking, right? That's something I'm personally working on, right? There's stories I could tell, but I'm not going to tell those stories. But just know it's something I'm working on when I think about it. I'm not going to say I've been good at working on it, but, you know, bringing this back up helps me to think about it and helps me to work on it in my perception, because perception is all that matters, right? Because it's all about heart posture at the end of the day. If you're doing something out of good faith, I'm not gonna say the delivery doesn't matter, because it does sometimes, right? You can't just go and like let me not even try to give an example, right? Intention matters, but also so does delivery. Intention just a little bit more, because you can do anything out of good from your heart, but if it doesn't land right, it doesn't land right. But the intention, some people will say the thought counts. It depends on the person. It really does. But the point being, no crude joking is one, but the intention of the joke, right? Are you doing it just as a little, haha, I got you, and that's it, right? It was something where the other person can laugh too. You're not making them look stupid. He said the intention should be not to make somebody look stupid. Nobody should leave a joke with a sour taste in their mouth. And that's where I think a lot of Instagram comedy goes crazy, right? I was watching some videos earlier. Dom the Troll, I think is his name. Dude was literally like, actually, while he was like screaming at the Amish people that the zombies were coming, and to me that's just distasteful. Like, they didn't believe him, but still, like, why are you giving them phones? You know what I'm saying? They literally, they stay out of the way on purpose, and you're going into the way to bother them. If I was them, I would be a little peed off, I'm not gonna lie. However, the point being, nobody should leave the joke with a sour taste in their mouth. The joke should be a quote-unquote good joke if both people can walk away laughing and saying, haha, you got me good. And it's funny because you got me in a way that I didn't expect. And I think that's a lot of what's lost today with joking as a whole. And I don't mean like the prank type of joking, but literally just joking. And I was talking about this with one of my best friends, right? We were talking about how people go into meeting new people with negative connotations, right? 2 people, anybody, should be able to sit down, strangers, and walk away feeling like an acquaintance. And I stand on that till I die. Because if you go into a conversation like, hey, this is another person who I get to spend time with, let me talk to this person. Now, that doesn't account for like differences of, you know, oh, I hate small talk. They don't. Or I don't like meeting new people. And they do. Right? This doesn't account for that. This is just like, you know, you're in a situation where you're going to have to meet new people. and you signed up for it, or like you knew it was going to happen, the best thing you could do is come into it with a positive attitude and take something away from that, right? And I think it takes a very mature person to have that mindset. But right, I can sit down, I would say, with dang near any person, find something that we have in common and make them feel good and make them feel smiley, right? I meet so many random people in the gym and we just have a nice smiley conversation because it's just like we both have this thing in common. And then we become friends, and you know, like I see him all the time in the gym, and then we saying this up, and we, you know, doing a little small talk thing. But it just feels good to have a little conversation with somebody and have it be fully happy, right? They don't know too much about me, I don't know too much about them, but what we do know about each other is something that makes us both feel good, right? And so I think that a lot of people with their mindset of not right, they go into a new place and they just think the worst. They think no one's gonna like me, right? They don't go in. Me, when I'm meeting a new person, we're not going. First thing I do, look for anything. Firstly, go into it with a smile. You got to be happy, right? Because laughter and all that is kind of contagious. That's why you see a lot of popular YouTubers. They're overtly smiley, or some type of happy thumbnails will use some strong type of emotion, right? Because emotions are infectious. That's the word I meant. Are infectious, right? When chances are, if there's a group of people feeling some emotion, you come over to that group of people feeling that, you're gonna feel it too after some sense of, hey, what's wrong? What's going on? Right? If it's sad, it's gonna bring you down. If it's happy, it's like, we had a baby, we graduated, whatever the case is, right? You're gonna get turned with them. Because that's just how humans work, right? We're a social species, we're made to be around other people, that kind of thing. However, back to the topic, subtopic of the original topic, go into it, right? Smiling, and then try to find something in common and gas it up, right? It doesn't matter if I'm not fully interested in what they're talking about. The point is, I'm interested in getting to know them. That's what I think is the important part. I could care less if baseball is your favorite thing in the world. I'm going to resonate with the feelings that you feel about baseball because I feel those feelings about something else. So you could tell me, yo, this dude, his batting average is a .96. I'm gonna be like, yo, that's crazy. Wait, what's the highest? And you're gonna be like, it's a clean one. So .96 is fantastic. I'm gonna be like, yo, that's actually crazy. How many times is, like, what does that mean he hits it out of? He's like, that means he hits it 96 times out of 100. He's hitting the ball, whether that be a foul ball, you know, whatever, out of the park, home run. It doesn't matter. He's hitting the ball. I'm like, yo, that's crazy hand-eye coordination. And then we get into it because, like, I know that what he's feeling about that is the way that I would feel about some, like, video game statistic or something. I don't really know what I would feel, what I could relate to that, right? But the thing is, the way he's happy, or they're happy, she's happy about whatever they're explaining to me is something that I could feel. And because they're happy about it, and because I came into the conversation happy, made them talk about something that makes them happy, now they're happy too. It's just a ever-flowing state of happiness back and forth between us, right? And the conversation can go there, and it doesn't, you know, it doesn't continuously build up to a pinnacle of happiness, right? But there's going to be a peak, and then it's going to come back down. But the point is, when it comes back down, we're still smiling because we're just like, yo, you're chill, you're cool, you know, you can relate to me in a way that, you know, I don't think most people can in this first instance of meeting somebody, right? And it's because you came into it with a positive mindset, right? And I believe that why I went on this tangent was to talk about the intentions of our jokes, and yes, and how people don't take jokes the intention that they're made of. It's like, see the benefit, give everybody the benefit of the doubt until they give you a reason not to, is my mind, right? People are so quick to hate. We are in a hating epidemic, and I want to make a video on it because it's actually unprecedented how much people just love to hate. You go to I was specifically the double XL freshmen, right? I was watching the ones from like a couple years ago, reading the comments on the 2016 one that everybody loves that has like 200 million views, and the ones from last year are barely cracking like 1.6 million, right? And you read the comments and like, we didn't appreciate 2016 enough, man. And I'm like, this is a perfectly fine cipher. I really liked it, other than like one guy, but he wasn't even that bad because I want to do it with a positive mindset, right? First time I heard it, I probably was hating. Second time, I'm like, you know what? It's not bad. He's just low-key lacking one skill with his rap. And people love to just hate. My brother just called me and he yapped for like 40 plus minutes. My recording time is now an hour and 12 minutes. It's almost an hour past what I was about to end the video. I think I was around 15 minutes. Anyway, we were talking about jokes and all that, right? The intentionality of a joke. Don't make the other person feel stupid, right? But also try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Don't get fooled 3 times. I really lost my train of thought. I had my train of thought for 40 minutes of that phone call. I knew what I was gonna come back to this video talking about. Tried to end the call 20 minutes ago. It did not work. He just kept talking. I love my brother, but that's crazy. I love him. That's crazy. Anyway, you're not jesting. And if you are, it's probably crudely. You're making somebody look stupid and feel bad. Not the kind of joking we allow, right? We're made in God's image. I've heard a lot of people use this offense. We're made in God's image, which means that God probably also has a sense of humor. And I bet that he does. I would bet that he does. But it's probably different than ours. And that's good to remember. Like, so there's the verse that says, as a madman who casts firebrands, arrows, and death, so is he that deceives his neighbor and says, am I not in sport? Meaning, the more you joke, and like if you make somebody look stupid, that is the same as casting firebrands, arrows, and death, because you're deceiving your neighbor. So the point of it is you're deceiving, and we're told as Christians that we're supposed to speak in love and in truth, right? And there's nothing wrong, he said, Pastor Paul, with like a little bit of a joke, but it's where the intention lies. So if your intention, it's intention and delivery, because obviously you can have a very well intentioned joke, but it could land horribly. But the point is, it shouldn't make somebody feel stupid after you've done the joke. It should just be a little like, oh, you kind of got me, or that was witty, or whatever the case is. Like, it's all about the intention. And especially when we're told not to have any crude jokes, somewhere in Ephesians it says don't joke crudely, it adds to this level of like seeing that jokes can cause death. And death is the wage of sin, meaning that these jokes can classify themselves as sin depending on the intention and delivery.